everyone. Thanks for joining us today. And I hope you all are keeping well and safe wherever you are at this point of time. My name is Seno, and I'm the manager Canada here at MSM. And it gives me immense pleasure today to announce our newest partnership here at MSM, Prairie College and MSM partnership. Prairie College is located in this beautiful town called Tree Hills in Alberta. With that, this is our third institution in Alberta. It is established in 1922. And for the last couple of years, Prairie has been blessed with students from around the world. And now it is in the mission to expand and grow its international student body. That's how we come together, in partnership with Prairie College to help them grow, develop, and increase their international student body. In a normal situation, we would be hosting this event probably somewhere in your city over a dinner, drinks, discussing on all the opportunities that Prairie College has for each one of us. But again, with this ongoing pandemic situation, the best way that we are able to connect with you and introduce Prairie College is through this Zoom webinar. I know we all have gone through these webinar sessions, and we're really looking forward to see for the day where we can join you guys in person and meet you all once again. But until then, we will continue to have this, to make the best use of these platforms that we have at the moment. Before we move further, I would just love to, go through the flow of the event. We will go through the offerings of Prairie College related to the location, the unique features, as well as the program offerings at the college through a PPT that will be facilitated by Emily. Towards the end of the presentation, we will also have a Q&A session. Therefore, I request all of you to put up all your questions and queries in the Q&A section, and we will try our very best to answer to all of those questions. In case we run out of time, then we will email you the answers later on once the session is over in a day or two. Now, let me introduce the amazing team that we have today. Starting with Emily Allard-House. She is the Managing Director of Enrollment and Marketing. We have Elaine as well, Elaine Maxwell. She is the Managing Director, Finance at Prairie College. We have Pamela Fraser. She is the Enrollment Manager at Prairie College again. And in the admissions, we have Vivian Baptista, we have Andriana Venn, and Josiah Sunner. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your words, but yeah. So they are from the admissions, they are the International Student Admissions Counselor, and so on in the campus. So what I'm going to do now is that I will be handing over the presentation to Emily. And in the meantime, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to put it on the Q&A or the chat box, and we will cater as it comes to it. Yeah. So Emily, over to you for the presentation.
Thanks, Seno. It is such a pleasure to be with you all this morning. We've been really looking forward to this date and just being able to meet all of you and start to think about the possibilities for bringing students over to Three Hills. So great pleasure. And I brought with me today, you just met the whole team, and the team is much smarter than me, so they will likely be able to answer your questions much better than I will. And so we've got everyone represented, and so whatever your questions may be, we can tackle it. So I'll look forward to getting into that Q&A portion with you all later. So before we get into the formal presentation, I'm going to show you one of our main videos. It'll give you a bit of a different kind of understanding of Prairie, a visual understanding, and then we'll jump into the presentation. So just bear with me and I'll navigate over to my screen, my different screen here.
You look closer. You're more than bones and dust in a random universe. You're full of dreams and passions. Your life will leave a mark, and you can feel it. But in a vast sea of options, noise, needs, where do you start? What story will you write? Look closer. These are not classrooms. They are the rich soil where the seeds of your calling take root. These are not hallways. They are the arena where you'll wrestle with faith and seize life. And this isn't a book, but a doorway to the very heart of God, and these textbooks are the shoulders of the giants on which you'll stand. These aren't classmates. They are companions for the journey, and these professors are the battle-tested guides who will illuminate your potential. This isn't just a college, but your launching pad. Look closer. God is writing a story with our lives. How will yours read?
Okay. All right, so I see somebody has raised their hand in the chat. Okay, so we had a video block there. Seno, did you want me to jump in and start answering questions if they come up now, or should we just go into the presentation?
Yeah, I think, yeah, we can just go with the presentation, like, and then we can answer to the question towards the end of the presentation, like when we come to it.
Sounds good. Okay. All right, so let's go. Okay, so as you'll see here, we have, this is a photo of our atrium, and you saw some of the scenes from our campus in the video. All of that was shot on location, so I know it's a very brief glimpse of what the campus life is like, but this room is one of our most popular spaces, and one of the signatures of Prairie since the beginning of its inception in 1922 has been a focus on international missions. And so now we're almost going to be celebrating our 100-year anniversary in 2022. And we have 17,000 alumni from all over the world. So when you talk to people about their Prairie experience and you find alumni, you will find that they live abroad, many of them. Lots of them are based in North America, but I would say equally so. We have alumni living abroad in Africa, in Asia, in Europe, in South America. That has been a focus of the college. And back when it was started, really the heyday was in the 1940s, and I believe there was close to 1,000 students, and a large proportion of those were international students. And so it was so notable at the time that one of the foremost publications in Canada called Maclean's Magazine, a secular publication, published an article about Prairie and just how different it was that in the middle of the prairies in Alberta, it was attracting this huge number of international students. So that has always been part of our identity. That will be something that if you ever get the chance to visit campus, you'll notice about our atrium there. And we've got flags representing the various countries where our alumni are living and working. And so that is a big part of our identity. As far as our sort of who we are in, a very compact idea, we are a private interdenominational Christian college in Three Hills, Alberta, and I'll get into where Three Hills is located a little later on in the presentation. But we have, as you get to know us, you'll find that we have a commitment to academic excellence. So we are accredited through what's called the ABHE, which is based out of the US. And what we do is academic college experience combined with spiritual discipleship. And we can talk about what that means later. But what that does for Prairie, and what you will find if you visit here and if you talk to our alumni, is that we have one of the most genuine, welcoming communities that I personally have ever experienced. I myself live in Calgary, which is a metropolitan area in Alberta. And when you come to Three Hills, it is like kind of, like a little pocket of heaven, just with the community here and just how welcoming and loving it is. And so what we find is that people, they leave here and their life is changed for the better. They have the academic credentials that they're seeking, but they also have a community that will be with them for the rest of their life, and they are changed as a result of the discipleship here. I've already talked about the variety of alumni in the network at 17,000. We have, today, we have just around 300 students. We have just over 30 program options. And so you'll find that we are, globally minded, and our mission is to meet the greatest needs of the world. So Seno already talked about the format of the presentation today. This is what I will cover in my presentation. So we'll talk a little bit about where is Prairie, what is Prairie, what is it all about. We'll talk about the amenities that we offer to the students that will be arriving on our campus. We'll talk about the fees. This is likely going to be one of the things that will be of most interest to the prospective students that you're reaching. We'll talk about admissions requirements. We'll talk about some specific information for agents, and then go over the program options that we have. And then at the end, we'll have some questions. So geographically, many people that I talk to from outside of Canada are really familiar with Vancouver, BC, or Toronto, maybe less familiar with Calgary, which is the closest urban center to where Prairie is. But you'll see here, I've sort of created a bit of a land or a map here so that you can place it. So Prairie is number 1 there. It's in the light blue province. We are in southern Alberta. We are about an hour's flight away from Vancouver, and if you choose to drive it, you're going through the Rocky Mountains. It's about a 9-hour drive. Banff and the Rocky Mountains, Lake Louise is an international hotspot for tourists. That is about 2 minutes to the west of Three Hills, so it is a very popular place for students, faculty, staff to spend weekends and to retreat into the mountains. It's, I'll show you later some pictures that you may have already seen. We have Calgary, which is about an hour and 15 minutes to the south of Three Hills. Another urban center, Red Deer, is, I don't actually know how many people are living there, but I would say it's somewhere between 500,000 to 1 million people. That is about an hour to the northwest of us. Edmonton is the capital of Alberta, and it is about 3 hours north of here. Both Calgary and Edmonton have international airports, so if you are arriving from other destinations, there is a gateway either north or south of the campus. Further afield, you have Toronto, which is 3 hours and 40 minutes to the east, number 7 there on the map. Right here. Regina is another urban center in Saskatchewan, an hour to the east. Winnipeg, I believe you have another partner institution in Winnipeg. And then Montreal, of course, and Halifax, about 4-hour flight to the east. So arriving by plane, which I expect most people will do, you would likely be flying into Calgary, YVR. I've gathered some flight times from some of the destinations in the different continents. So from New Delhi, you're looking at about a 20-hour flight with a 1-stop likely through London, England. From Sao Paulo, about 15 hours with 1 stop likely through Denver or Houston. And then from Senegal, about 17 hours and 2 stops. And I believe that the stopovers are somewhere in Europe or Southeast Asia, and then another stop likely in Toronto. So it is, I'm not going to say short trip to get into Calgary, but it is very possible we have all the major airlines coming into Calgary, and so we do enjoy quite a bit of traffic in a normal non-pandemic environment. So we'll just keep moving through this. So about Alberta, so you saw on the map that Alberta is a province that is located right next to British Columbia. It is inland. We're about on a given day about a 10-hour drive to the ocean, which is important for somebody like me, maybe you as well. But Alberta has many good qualities that people do love and enjoy year-round. And so I've gathered just some of the scenes that are typical prairie. You'll see Calgary here. This is a beautiful photo taken in the summertime. There is a river running around the downtown center with pedestrian bridge and just a beautiful space to enjoy. In the summertime, we don't, the prairie moniker is not for nothing. It's, it really is, you see there the canola fields, but in the summertime, it is just a rolling landscape of fields and beautiful views. You see the cows, very prairie, Alberta. The winters, you no doubt will hear from students and learn yourself once you arrive here that winters are long. I would compare it maybe to something like you would find in Scandinavia, where the winters tend to be longer, but people find ways to enjoy. We have a number of world-class skiing hills within an easy drive of here, so that tends to be something that people do to pass the time. We always recommend that when a student is arriving from another destination, that they make sure that they are properly equipped for the winter with the appropriate clothing. And we do have even a thrift shop on campus that supplies some of these items if people come and they're not feeling like they're prepared for that. Winter roughly runs from about late October to I'm going to say late March is when you can expect that colder weather. And then around the end of April, it really starts to turn and you end up with the summer months. Lake Louise on the bottom left corner there is another destination that you likely have heard about. It is one of the, I would say, the picturesque things that you'll find on Instagram. It's very Instagrammable. You see the Emerald Lake there, which is glacial. And so, again, that is an easy drive away. And so it is something that people enjoy about our location. Fairly close to where our campus is located, there are what we call the Badlands of Alberta, otherwise known as the land of the dinosaur. So there are these geological formations where I believe this is one of the locations that they are routinely finding discoveries of dinosaurs and prehistoric fossils, things like that. So it's a very cool place to go and explore. There's opportunities for hikes and things like that. And then in the far right corner there, you see Edmonton, which is another urban center in Alberta, which is about 3 hours north. Again, a beautiful city with a river flowing through it. So lots of opportunities there to enjoy city life as well as the rural life that you would find near our campus. So Prairie, no doubt if you have spent any time on our website, you'll have an idea of what we're about. Our mission and vision, though, in the strategic plans and everything that we produce, our sort of overarching mission and vision. The mission is to help establish God's kingdom by equipping and mentoring individuals through biblically integrated education for life and career that will meet the greatest needs of the world for the glory of God. The vision is that we would be and also invite others to love God, to make disciples who influence culture and build the kingdom. Our motto, which was penned by the founder in 1922, is to know Christ and make him known. And this still is at the heart of our identity, to know Christ and make him known. Interesting little fun fact, the president or the founder of Prairie in 1922 was named L.E. Maxwell, and he has a very interesting story. And when your students start to arrive, they'll be able to learn more about him. But his grandson is Mark Maxwell, and Mark is the current president. So there is a kind of a neat connection there between the past and the present, I find, on the almost 100-year anniversary. So it's the school has really come full circle, and it's really cool to see. So I always include sort of in a supplement slide whenever I'm presenting to a larger group like this to add to our mission and vision, because I understand that, especially when we're working with a wide variety of people that are recruiting in different areas, you're looking for a niche audience, you're looking for people that share in the Christian faith, but maybe you don't share in the same worldview that we do. And so I like to explain, what the practical terms for the mission and the vision that I just talked about are, because I understand that there's a lot of what maybe we would call is Christianese in there. So what does it actually look like and mean for us to be a Christian college that is seeking to be and invite others to be lovers of God? So practically, what that looks like and what the experience is helping others in their understanding of biblical teachings, and helping them understand that the tenets in the Bible and the principles in the Bible have incredible value for daily life. The Bible speaks to ethics, it speaks to discipline, it speaks to mentorship, stewardship, care, and love for others. And so these are all things that we study and learn and incorporate into our lives. It also means being thought leaders and influencers in a busy, chaotic, and often uncaring world. We believe that the Bible can help us as we navigate the world, and just by virtue of that, we seek to be influencers to help other people understand what we understand, which is there's peace and love to be found in the Bible and in a relationship with Christ. That also means that we see ourselves as the hand and the feet of Jesus in the world, serving others in practical ways. And the three words that we use to describe this are loving, engaging, and learning in our community. So I've just included a couple of photos there, but discipleship in community. So personal journey of a relationship with Christ, and then working in community that happens at Prairie. We also believe that peace is a promise that we have, that we can own as we walk through our daily lives, but also that we are living our lives in service to others. And we do this in a variety of ways, which I can get into later on. So our unique approach, what this actually looks like and how our mix, as you would say, is that we combine the spiritual formation with academic and career development. I mentioned earlier that we are accredited by ABHE. That organization is recognized by the U.S. Department of Education as well as the province of Alberta. So if you're finding that people have questions about the transferability of their education, we do have that built in, and many of our graduates have gone on to other institutions very successfully. I believe we have students at Yale Divinity School, we have students at the University of Chicago, University of Toronto, as well as many others. And if there's ever a question of transferability, we do have a registrar's team that can help you understand what your options or your students' options might be. So the spiritual formation piece that works its way into everyday life at Prairie is in a variety of things. So we say that it'll give you the brain space, it'll create the environment, and give you the support to really level up in your spiritual life while you're here. So you participate in a small group, which is just a core group that you meet with. regularly to walk through life together. This is your support network when you get here. We also find that this helps international students adjust to life on campus and creates a bit of a family unit for them when they arrive, so that nobody is finding themselves isolated or really falling through the cracks. We have chapels. So this would be, most of us, when we hear chapel, we think of church service. Chapel means a few things at Prairie, but essentially there is a chapel event that happens almost every day of the week that people participate in. And, as an example, one of our chapels is called a service time. And what happens is the staff and the faculty and the students, they work together just doing things in service of the community at Prairie. So, sometimes that means you're cleaning bathrooms, sometimes that means you're restocking shelves in the library, but just in service. It's where you have 1 hour and you're just doing something for the community. And there's the discipline there. We also offer on-campus conferences. There are opportunities to serve in a variety of ways. So, if you are interested in music, you can serve on a worship team, and there's just so many things that you can do depending on your interest. Cross-cultural experiences is something that is, I'm going to say, really intentionally built into almost every academic experience that you will find at Prairie. And the best example of that is what we call a Globe Trek internship, which is offered in the 3rd year of the Intercultural Studies program, which is catered for you, tailored to you, internship where you are traveling to, it can depend on what your goals are, but up to 10 to 12 countries in about 9 months to spend time in different countries and cities across the world. And then, of course, you find discipleship, and what, typically that looks like is a one-on-one relationship with somebody who is more, I'm going to say, spiritually advanced than you are, to help you. So academic and career development, this is, academic is what you think of when you think of a college, but I would say in the last year or so, we have really started to focus on that career development side of things. So rigorous education infused with real world experience. And we are really our focus is to try and help people be successful when they leave here as well, not just building them up academically while they're here, but also thinking about what they're going to do after. So we have Christian life coaching, we do placements, and we have advancement partnerships with about 80 different partners and institutions across Canada and the world. We have somebody that is actually going to work with a partner in Hanoi, I believe this upcoming school year. So, depending on what a student's goal is, we do have a variety of partnerships to help connect students. Mentorship opportunities, work experiences. We offer a couple of programs that we would consider to be bridging programs. So if a person, if their trajectory is going to be a master's program or graduate level study, we have created an undergraduate program that is, it works with a master's program. So you can do it quicker, you can save yourself some money and just get into your ultimate goal earlier. We also offer networking opportunities as part of the academic experience. So I talked briefly about the career side of things. We just in the last year, the program director of their business program actually developed this concept for us called our Life Launch framework. And so the idea is that when you go to school, when you say you're thinking of going to a Bible school, typically when you go to a Bible school, your focus is going to be in the spiritual foundation, spiritual formation. You go there and your goal is to grow spiritually. Probably a little bit of character development there, personal effectiveness, competencies. If you were to go to, just like University of Calgary or just a typical public university setting, there will be a focus there on intellectual formation, academic competencies, really, building out that academic rigor for you. If you go to a more vocationally oriented school like a trade school, or in Alberta, there's SAIT or NATE, we call them, you're going to be sort of on the top of this framework where you're dealing with industry knowledge, job specific skills for your trade. And so what Prairie is doing really is we are focusing on all of these aspects. So every student that is coming to Prairie is not only going to be able to focus on the spiritual formation aspect, but we are starting to roll out opportunities for students to work on everything from professionalism, general workplace competencies, like, this year it's been so important to be flexible, to adapt, the mental health awareness, the self-resiliency, but also industry knowledge, connecting students with the industry that they are hoping to be a part of after they graduate, focusing on those job specific skills. We have, nurses that we'll talk about later, and then also job acquisition. So, the idea that we're working towards here is that within 5 years, each student that graduates would be highly sought after and not only one job offer, but they would have two. So they would have options. And there's a lot more to it than that. I actually have about a 10-minute video that explains the whole thing. So I've tried to sort of pack it into a tidy explanation here. But we really think, our competitive advantage against, some of our competitors, like, the public institutions or even the other Bible colleges, is that we have a holistic focus. We're thinking about after, and what we hear from alumni is that their time at Prairie, whether it was 6 months to 4 years and beyond, really has a legacy in their life that lasts for years and years and years. We hear that people found it a time that, formed them as a person, helped them to develop the character to do business well, or to, go abroad and be an effective minister or communicator, or whatever they're choosing to do. So that holistic focus is something that makes Prairie unique. So school amenities, no doubt students that you're working with are going to be interested to hear what we have to offer to them. So I think I said this on a past presentation, but we are a rural campus. So while we are, I would say, within easy driving distance of the major urban centers, I myself work or commute between Calgary and Three Hills. We are a rural campus. So people, when they come, they're going to find a small town. It is quaint. There are, some, I would consider, more than basic amenities in the town itself. But it is not, like a Toronto. It is an urban, or it is a rural center. The campus itself offers, typical, well-equipped classrooms. We actually this year rolled out what we call high flex classrooms. So this is the ability to deliver online education in a synchronous way. So the high flex technology allows us to essentially have a virtual student sitting in the class and engaging like they were in person. So they're high tech in that way. We have labs. We have a variety of programs with a vocational element to them. So we have labs to support their coursework, a full library. We have student lounges, cafes. We have a dining hall. We have an auditorium, which is, often rented by the community for plays and things like that. So it's a full service auditorium. I believe it has capacity for about 160 spectators. We have a full court gymnasium. So, there's a photo of that, I think, later on in the presentation, but quite a unique high-end gymnasium with spectator areas of, I think, 1,000 people. and a fitness center there you see in the corner. We do have a residence building. It's 5 stories. We call it comfortable and basic. It is not plush, but we find that students settle in quite nicely and make it their own. All first-year students, we do require to live in that student housing, unless, of course, they have an exception. And an exception might be that they have family in the area and they can, live with them, or if they're over the age of 21, we can make an exception there. We also have an apartment building owned by the school that mature students and families can live in, and that's about a short block away from campus. So we offer that as well. The Rickdown Athletic Center, which I mentioned earlier, is a multi-purpose facility. It's the home to our athletics program and our health and wellness facilities. It has some fun features as well, like a rock climbing wall, a fairly significant one that people like to use. We have pop-up concession, change rooms, things like that. So a variety of options there that people enjoy using. So student supports, when students are coming in, now I know MSN also offers an orientation, quite a comprehensive one. We do more orientation for students when they arrive at campus in September or January, whenever it ends up being. We also offer a freshman retreat, and the goal there is to really orient freshmen to each other and to the school and to their experience. We offer Christian counseling to students, especially this year with mental health being such a topic of concern for a lot of people. This is something that we offer. I mentioned the thrift store earlier, and the thrift store on campus, actually the proceeds of that go directly into a fund, or at least a portion of the proceeds go into a fund to support Christian counseling for students at a very reduced rate. I think you, for a 1-hour session, are paying about $10 to $15 versus over $100. So it's, an economical choice there. We do have accessibility support for students that are coming in with physical disabilities. So we will work with that student to accommodate their needs. We have a campus security team. This is also something that can be a job for students as well. Many of our students in their upper class years take on jobs. This is one of the ones that they do. We have spiritual direction. We also have a prayer team. So if somebody is, really needing that extra layer of support, we have that available. Financial support. There are a variety of scholarships, bursaries, and awards that we offer every year. And we give out, I don't recall what the exact number was last year, but over $600,000 every year to students. And a good portion of that is for international students. And Seno can provide you with the full, we have a list of all of the different bursaries and scholarships that are available. And so if you're interested in that, the deadline to apply every year is June 1st. So we recommend that, somewhere in their application process, a student is starting to think about applying for some of these financial supports as well. We do offer, sort of what you would expect as far as online tuition payments, so you can do that online. We have a really high-tech team on the finance side that can help us with that. So career planning, we've already talked a little bit about this, but I'll just touch on it briefly. So on-campus job opportunities, we do have job fairs. In a normal non-COVID year, we have something called Global Connections Conference, which is essentially a networking and job fair for our students that then connects them to organizations that are working abroad. And so this year we had, organizations like World Vision Canada, Serve International, and just a variety of network opportunities. Leadership training, mentorship, and internships. We have all of these things built into the programs. Other supports include off-campus housing in the Davidson apartments that I mentioned. We do have an ombudsman program where right on the homepage of our website, if you go to the bottom of it, if a person is experiencing a situation that is, they're uncomfortable with, or they need to report it, we have that very, freely available. It goes to third parties. So not only internally, it also goes to external people as well, so that we can manage whatever issue comes up in a wise way. And then the student discount program. So we, every year we work with some real retailers on the main street and things like that in town to work towards discounts for our students. Another important aspect of student support is the student union. And so this is going to be very typical to what you would expect with a college or university environment with a spin. Some of our events that are really enjoyed are supported by the student union. So we have something called Fancy Friday, which just started in the last couple of years, where students every Friday are dressing up in formal wear. So it's not uncommon to walk down the hallway and see somebody in a tux on the Friday. And so it's kind of a fun little opportunity to do something different. Shopping trips, the open mics, we have worship nights, there's a walking club, sports activities, coffee cafes, things like that. So just to enliven the experience on campus. So you've heard about the Prairie experience and what we're all about, and assuming now that you've got somebody who says, I'm interested, I want this, we have admissions requirements, and I've outlined them here. So we can just walk through them, and any one of our admissions counselors on the team is, an expert in this. So if you are finding that there is something that you have a question about, either the team internally or the MSM team can help you with those questions. So all applicants are required in the application to submit a Christian testimony of 300 to 500 words. So we're just asking people in there to explain, what their personal relationship with Christ has been. We don't expect people to be perfect. All we're asking is to understand sort of what your faith journey has been. And we just find that when a person comes to campus, there's a huge discipleship component to our school. And so it's only fair for everyone involved for people to understand that and be committed to that idea. So secondarily, we require one faith relevant reference. If you have a student who is hoping to go into ministry, like a pastoral role, we do ask for 2 references. There's a bit of more vetting that we need to do there. But the faith relevant reference is just somebody who is not related to you, who is over the age of 21, who can speak to your faith life. So has a little bit of insight into sort of your journey personally. Academically, we require that all applicants have a 60% average in 5 grade 12 subjects. We do require that one of those subjects be English. Now, if you have somebody who is, very close to that, but not quite, we would be happy to assess and work with you on that and to see if we might be able to gain entry. We do have a provision with our accreditation that allows us to take a limited number of students who would be considered mature applicants who have, life experience, but perhaps not the academic experience. So I believe it's up to 3% of our student body. So it works out to, maybe 1 or 2 students a year that we can accept on that basis. So internationally, we actually have revised our requirements within the last couple of months. But English language proficiency is something that we require. I believe that the emphasis is on IELTS through MSM. So that is something that we are highly recommending, especially if you are seeking to have a student go through any direct stream program. But we also do have capacity to support English proficiency demonstrated through the TOEFL, Cambridge, or Duolingo. And then, of course, a study permit, which is a routine part of the immigration process. I don't know how many students internationally are coming from homeschool environments, but we also are, quite popular with the homeschool community because we have quite a niche process for that. And then transfer students in as well, we can accept. So as far as the timeline for application, we do have 2 intakes a year. So this is sort of different than perhaps some of the other institutions you're working with, but we have a fall intake and then a winter semester, which starts in January, September, and January. And so the application deadlines are outlined there. So as far as starting to work with students now, we would be targeting a January intake at this point. So we are, as a team committing to processing the applications very quickly and to try and get people here for January. Of course, if you have a special circumstance and somebody who has dual citizenship or something like this, there is a chance that they could come for September, but right now I would say for the large majority, we're looking at January intake. So tuition fees. So international student tuition starts at $437 per credit. This is dependent on the program. CENO has a full schedule of fees for all of the programs. The variability really where that comes in is some of the programs are more expensive than others because of equipment costs, because of partner costs, things like that. So that is the reason why there is some variability there. By and far, the aviation program is the most expensive program that we offer. So if you have a student who is looking to come into the aviation program, they will likely have lots of questions about this, and we have lots of supports for them. But just know that that is not sort of a typical priced program. Competitively, if you are looking at some of the different programs in Canada and North America, we are actually on the lower end, but it is just overall, it's very expensive to get your pilot's license. But I'm sure your students will know that if they're looking into the program. So this year, and possibly this year only, we are running a promotion on our college services fees. And so we've actually reduced our fees by 50% to $30 per credit. Previously, they were $60 per credit. So for a student who is taking a full course load, this amounts to about $900 savings off of their education for doing nothing. So it is a good time. This upcoming year is a good time to come to Prairie because you'll be essentially receiving a bursary of almost $1,000 just for coming. So that we already talked about scholarships and bursaries. Again, that deadline is June 1st. Our financial aid officer has let me know that if people are coming, bringing their families with them, which often happens, we currently have a family from Germany, we have a family from Asia, Hong Kong, I believe. They bring all the kids, everybody over. You can claim tax benefits from the Government of Canada, so that's something that our team can support you with. As far as our housing and meal service, we offer our student dorms, which amount to about $345 per month, which is your rent for your room. And then meal services works out to $547 per month, which is on the 19 meals per week standard plan. There's some options there, but that is sort of the typical. So that's your room and board cost. It's also quite, if you have somebody who's older, 21 plus, living in Three Hills is going to be a lot more economical than living in a city. It's not unusual to be able to find a suite for around $600 a month. So you'll find that there are options there if you're looking for sort of a non-standard living situation for a student. So programs. So I've separated the two slides into two slides. We have programs that do have that post-graduation work permit status with the Government of Canada. And then we have other programs that we are actively working with the government to ensure that we have that PGWP status. Tentatively, if you are working with a student whose goal is to stay in Canada and work after, you're going to want to be looking at these PGWP approved programs. If you have somebody that is really thinking, I just want to go home, I want to get my education, and then I want to go home after, any of our programs would be a good choice for them. So I'll just run through these really quick. And then we can, if we have time, we can get into a little bit more detail about them. So Bachelor of Theology, Bachelor of Arts in Intercultural Studies. We have an Intercultural Studies four-year program that is centered around global social justice. So this was created with 13 NGOs in North America, so very industry driven. We have what we call the BAM degrees. And so these are a Bachelor in Arts and Ministry with a variety of different focus areas. So one being outdoor leadership. So this is our leadership incubator program that is actually located in the Canadian Rocky Mountains. So students are spending roughly half their time on campus and half their time in the Rocky Mountains at Frontier Lodge. So it's a very popular program, very focused on leadership development. We have your traditional programs that you would expect from a Bible college, pastoral ministry, youth ministry. We are working on, or we have a contest currently running for these two programs where we're giving away a whole year of tuition to somebody. So if you have a candidate for either one of these programs, now is a really good time to think about having them enter this program so that they maybe could qualify for this $11,000 scholarship, which is essentially almost a full ride. So then we also have the worship leading and music. So this is for the creative types that are musical. Then one of our most popular growing programs is our Christian formation and counseling. So this is pre-counseling. So the idea here is that you're working really hard on yourself and your own spiritual formation so that then you can work in a caring ministry or a caring vocation after. We do have transfer agreements in place with at least one, and I believe an unofficial agreement with another institution that leads people into a master's of counseling. So if you have somebody that you're working with that would like to counsel or be a chaplain or an addiction specialist or anything like that, this is going to be a great program for them. And then of course we have the humanities program. I don't think it needs a lot of explanation, but I'll just say that the program director for the humanities program is a very powerful mind, professor with a PhD from the University of Cambridge in the UK. So lots of powerful thinkers behind the delivery of this program. And then on the sort of more vocational side of things, we have the Diploma of Ministry Practical Nursing Diploma. This is a very popular program. It is offered with a partner called Bow Valley College, which I think many of you will have heard of. The post-graduation work permit is available through Bow Valley College. So we do have quite a number of international students that come through this program. We have the unique ability to allow or to bring students in internationally, whereas Bow Valley College actually does not accept applications from international students. So, this is a way for somebody who's looking to get into the nursing field to get their education at Prairie and then start working right away in Alberta. We do have the aviation program I mentioned. So the flying only component actually is delivered with Transport Canada. And so the work permit is available through Transport Canada commercial rating. So if a person is looking to be a pilot, they can come and fly with us. And then I've just put this new program at the very bottom, and this is not an approved program yet, so it is not a guarantee, but I wanted to at least, just plant the seed for you to be thinking about as you work with students. But we are anticipating that hopefully in 2023, we will be rolling out a Bachelor of Education program that will allow people to, either just take the Bachelor of Education or to specialize also in business or aviation. So we think that's possibly the only program in North America to do a combined education and aviation program. So we're really excited about that. So we'll keep you posted on the development of that. So other programs, we'll just go over these very quickly. As I said, if you have somebody that is hoping to do their education and go home, any of these would be a good choice for them. So we do have our business administration bachelor's degree, a sports management and leadership program, which is still sort of in a development phase right now. We have a diploma in Bible, outdoor leadership, digital media, which is another one of our popular programs. It focuses on photography, videography, and graphic design. So, we're creating or we're graduating content creators there. The diploma in Christian formation is a shorter version of the 4-year program I talked about earlier. And then we have the diploma in sports management. And then a number of certificate programs. So musicianship is sort of an entry into musicianship. So you are getting training on, an instrument or your voice, learning music theory, things like that. Another one of our popular programs is the certificate in Bible. So this is, a typical Bible college product offering. We have some very incredible professors behind this program. So if you have somebody that is, just wanting to get a good foundation, this is usually what we recommend. We also offer primary care paramedics. So this is a 1-year program. We're graduating paramedics. Many of them are working locally. And then a 1-year offering of our outdoor leadership incubator. So information for agents, and this is my last slide before we get into some of the more detailed program information, which we may or may not have time for. But I've put at the top that we are working with MSM. We currently do not have or accept other partnership offers from different recruiting agents, and MSM is our priority. So we're really fortunate to have Seno and the rest of the team to work with, and so that is where Prairie is at as far as partnership opportunities. As far as the commission structure that we are offering, we offer a 20% over 2 years, so 20% in the first year or the equivalent of 10 courses, and then 10% in the second year, regardless of when these courses are taken. So that would be the commission structure. The payment terms, so we pay MSM, and then MSM releases the funds to the agents. And then there's a little bit of an administrative process that happens after our ad drop dates, but we have an agreement and a commitment to pay within 30 days of the receipt of the paperwork. And I can speak for the finance team that we have an excellent finance team, so we are usually ahead of schedule. So as far as support for agents, we do offer a variety of things. We have virtual advising appointments. We have a dedicated international student counselor. So if you have a student that you are working with and you feel that a conversation with somebody on the ground here in Three Hills would be beneficial to their decision making, we are happy to offer, an appointment with the international student counselor and or program directors. You'll find that professors, program directors here are very accessible. Your students will probably learn to call them friends as they come to the campus. We also, I've mentioned this before, but have a very robust financial aid team that can offer advice about scholarships and bursaries. We do offer virtual visits as well. So if you have somebody that would actually like us to walk them around, we can do that. We have a virtual tour. And then if there's something that I haven't thought of that we can support you with, then please just ask and we would be happy to make that happen. We do have an email address that will get you right into the global team, which is globaladmissions@prairie.edu. So I think maybe I'll turn it back over to Seno to just wrap up anything, and then you can advise us on our time here.
Yes, Emily, thank you. That was a lot of clear information, I guess, from the admissions side as well as the college features, I would say. We do have a couple of questions that Pam has answered too. I think what we can do is, go through some of these questions, and then if you can, just verbally tell them as well, so that in case if there are other people who may have a similar question, we will be able to address those as well. One of the questions over here that I see is, there was a guy over here who says, "Can you clear my doubt if your college accept PTE?" I can guess where this is coming from, because we did mention about the IELTS as a part of the admissions requirement. So in addition to IELTS, do we also accept the PTE?
I'm not sure. I'm wondering if Josiah, if you want to take that question. Put you on the spot.
If PTE stands for Pearson Test of English, the answer is no. We do not currently accept that test.
Okay, thank you, Josiah. So another one of the major questions that, in fact, I have also been coming across in the last couple of days is the admissions requirement is definitely one thing, which is the academic requirement and the language requirement. One of the person who asked over here is, what if the applicant, means the applicant, are not Christian? Do we accept them? Because that's one of the questions that I often get as well.
Yeah, so we do get that question a lot. So we do require that a person has made a decision at some point in their life for Christ. And we, like I said before, we don't sort of adjudicate, like, we don't expect you don't have to demonstrate certain qualities. All we ask is that you do have a commitment for Christ in your life. And the reason why that is, as I mentioned, is this is in addition to being an intensive academic environment, is an intensive spiritual environment. And so we just find that if a person is sort of has not made that commitment, it is much harder for them to be successful here. So.
Thanks, Emily. Another question that I have, and this would be, any one of you can answer this, is, so we have heard about the program, the admissions requirement, and other things as well. Would you be able to explain a little bit about what the community is, like how it is in Three Hills? If you can just let us know a little bit about that.
Yes, so what you'll find in Three Hills is that it's a small town. It has charm. The community is very tight-knit. And so the community of Three Hills itself has about 3,000 people living in the town boundaries. And within that community, I'm just going to grab a random number, but there's about, I'm going to say, a dozen churches. And so it's a very, everyone knows everyone. I think, it's not coming from an urban center myself. You go for a walk and everyone talks to each other and everyone says hi. And, you know, you don't, this is unusual. I just find like when you go for a walk in Calgary, you ignore everyone else, right? Because you don't know them, but it's not like that in Three Hills. Everyone knows everyone. In general, people really care. Just on the weekend, there was, you know, there's a family that has been experiencing some financial hardship and other things. And, you know, so there was a fundraiser for them. And it was, you know, just, it's a very, I'm going to say a sort of an old-fashioned type of community. But in a good way. It's not a community that is separated in a bubble, but it's, you know, choosing to be intentionally community focused. So it's rare, and I can say that just based on my own experience, but that's why you find when people come here, they leave with family, friends that are like family, and they stay connected for the rest of their life. So it, you know, it takes, I think we hear sometimes it takes a month or two to really find your people. But there's just a community to be had here that is really rare, I would say, in the world.
I think if I would add to that, we had a campus visitor this past week, and what she was really impressed about was our class sizes. So she was looking at our nursing lab and said like, wow, all this technology that you guys have, I will have access to. And so I was thinking about that and how it's very special and unique that our students are, as Emily mentioned, are friends with their professors. They know them well, and it's a really wonderful learning environment. So as students come and join us, we know them by name and they're really well taken care of, and they have that excellent access to, you know, that individual support and community. So, yeah.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that information with all of us over here. The next question, which is again one of the questions that people will often ask us when we speak with the students sitting in front of us, would be the part-time job. I do understand you did mention that there are some jobs available on campus and a student can avail those, but are there such opportunity outside the campus, like within this community or within the town?
Yeah, so we do, we have a variety of on-campus jobs. One of the notable things that we offer is called a SALT, Student Applied Leadership Bursary. And so a student can apply for that starting in their second year. And they can get a job. You know, we have a SALT student working on our admissions team. Externally in the community, there are opportunities for students to work. You know, we have a number of hotels in town. We have a grocery store, we have pharmacies, we have little shops. And so often students will be working at these other retail locations in town. So there are different opportunities if you're willing. I do think that there is a student who I think is a friend of Josiah's who was entrepreneurial and took it upon himself to create a snow shoveling business. And so he was able to fund at least a good portion of his education just through shoveling the snow, which is a big part of life in Three Hills for a large part of the year. So
that's great to hear that we have opportunity for students, because many of our international students, when they do come with, you know, finances with them, but they look out for job and opportunities where they can, you know, support a little bit themselves in a way or the other. And especially in the summers, they usually look out for jobs and things like that. So it's great to know that. Okay, so with that, yeah, we're running out of time as well. So with that, we will come to the conclusion of our session today. Thank you so much. I can see people dropping off for joining us today, and we're hoping that we will be able to do excellent with Prairie College in the area that we'll be promoting. We have a lot of participants from all over the world, from Latin America, from West, East Africa. I see some from the Southeast Asia as well, and India as well, particularly. So wonderful. Thank you all so much for joining us. And our team will get in touch with each one of you over emails, over calls, and other platform as well. So Emily and the team, if you guys have any last word, please go ahead with that, and then we will conclude the event.
yeah, just thank you very much for attending today, and we will really look forward to working with you and starting to meet your students. So very much looking forward to it.
Yeah. Thank you all so much. Until then, bye-bye to all of you and have a great day, have a great night. Yeah, we'll see you guys again.